Hello stick curlers. Just a quick section on how to more effectively use this video before we jump into the content part of it. A normal basic skill stick curling clinic takes about 4 hours. The part of that is a 1 hour game, part of that's a half-hour break, so that leaves about 2.5 hours of content. Now obviously we've tried to cut out the parts that are least relevant to you, but we're still looking at a relatively long video here. So what we've done is break it up into independent segments, and you should be able to move back and forth between those various segments to get to that content that is most relevant to you. So the structure of this video is introduction, then we'll look at the safety and equipment aspects. That will lead into a discussion of delivery and an off-ice delivery drill. That will then transition to on-ice delivery drill. We'll follow that up with some basic setup and on-ice drill around setup and delivery. Then we'll move to a discussion of the two-person stick curling game, a little bit of strategy around that, very little bit. Then we will have a conclusion. Again, the idea is for you to move back and forth between those sections to quickly get to the components that are most relevant to you. There are questions that typically arise during one of our clinics, and I'd like to sort of address those quickly up front. One of the things we make sure is in this video are the most common errors that new stick curlers make. So when you're looking at the video, you should see the most common mistakes and what they look like and how to adjust for those. When we are doing our drills, we tend to focus on the 11 o'clock and an in-turn draw. The reason we do that is because in-turn draws are easier for new curlers to master, to feel comfortable with. All the techniques that we are showing are just as applicable to out-turn draws and the 1 o'clock position, and we try to integrate those somewhat in the video as well. For the drills, you'll notice that the drills are all down the center line, and we've set up a cone at the other hack, and the shots are all down the center line. Now, very few shots in real curling are ever down the center line. The reason we have chosen that approach is because it gives instant feedback. If you're delivering this beside the center line, if your rock is deviating off of that, you'll know immediately if you're off your shot. So the same techniques would apply if you were delivering out to the wings, or you were delivering to where the 8 and the 12 foot meet. Same techniques, but by having the drills go down the center line, you get immediate feedback. It's not that all your curling shots are going to be there, it's a way to give you better feedback during the drills. One of the first topic areas we're going to deal with is safety. And safety is paramount. We are very, very, very serious about safety, and participants in stick curling participating in a safe manner, safe and fun manner. This is a really fun sport, and we want to make sure that the people that are playing it are enjoying it, but are also doing it in a safe manner. One of the first areas, of course, is footwear. We teach the walking method, and when we get to later parts of the drills, you'll see that we encourage people to keep walking, and we have all of our stick curlers wearing either stick curling shoes or two grippers. We teach the walking method. Now, in reality, when you get to a competitive level of stick curling, somewhere between 50 and 60% of all of those competitive stick curlers are actually sliding. We do not teach the sliding method. The sliding method is something that you can learn on your own or adapt to on your own after you're comfortable with the sport and after you're comfortable with your balance on the ice while using the stick. So we teach the walking method. In the walking method, you'll either have 2 grippers or you'll have stick curling shoes. If you are wearing grippers, one of the key things is to look for wear patterns. I was playing in a game and I went to deliver and my right foot suddenly went out from underneath me and I was in a forward motion and I ended up doing a splits. Now, this body is not designed to do a splits and it hurt. Now, I was lucky I didn't go backwards and hit my head. I kept going forward, went down. When I looked after the fact as to why, on my gripper there was a wear pattern at the front of the right foot. And when that hit the ice, it didn't grip and off I went. So especially if you were using club grippers, really check before you go out on the ice to make sure that there are no wear patterns, because if there are wear patterns, your chances of going down on the ice are enhanced really quickly. As we get more serious into the sport, we tend to find people are using stick curling shoes. Now, stick curling shoes, both of these shoes will have the same pattern on the bottom. There's really kind of 2 types. There's this type, which are the hard rubber type, and they tend to have this zigzag pattern. I like to refer to these as being similar to winter tires. They're a hard rubber. They need to be cooled down and cooled down quickly in order to get the grip on them. These are not good in warm conditions. These need to be cooled down. So if you have this type of shoe, get on the ice, get them cooled down and get them cooled down quickly so you have a good grip for when you're playing the game. This is the kind I have. These have a softer, so I like to refer to these as being similar to an all-season radial tire. So it's a rubber, it's grippy, it's a little softer. Again, get on the ice, get them cooled down so that you get more grip on them, and that's going to give you a much safer experience on the ice. Again, 2 distinct types. Figure out which one works best for you. I really like this one. My curling partner really likes this one. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just whichever one is best for you. Again, look for wear patterns. The shoes I have currently, I've had them now for 3 years. Probably I'm going to have to replace them at the end of this year. I start to see a little bit of wear, and to be safe, I'm going to need to probably replace those. The next important thing is helmets. Now you'll see our instructor group, 2 out of the 3 instructors are intelligent and they wear helmets. The other one has dropped some very unsubtle hints that Christmas, there might be a helmet as a good present come Christmas time. This is sort of the standard helmet. There is no official stick curling helmet, and helmets are not mandatory yet. There's a pretty good chance that they will become mandatory in the relatively near future, but as of now, they're not mandatory. However, more and more and more stick curlers are wearing these helmets, and that's a very prudent thing to do. A good helmet protects the back. Most falls are backwards. So most falls, your feet are going up, your head's going down, bang, bang. So what you're looking for is protection here on the back. The really good ones have this kind of adjustment on them. One of the arguments against helmets is that they're too hot. So any helmet you have, you want to have these kinds of air spaces. Now this one has adjustable, but that's not necessary. As long as there's airflow in there, keep them cool. This one has just a small ridge on the front, which would be good if you are sweeping and you slip down. That'll probably keep you from getting a black eye, but you may get a bump on the nose. But you don't want a big ridge here. A small ridge here is fine to block you from going full face down. If you get a big ridge here, the problem is when it hits, you're going to get a whiplash back into your neck. So you would never want any more of a ridge than what you see on the front of this one. The other issue, of course, is the strap. I was playing a game here a couple of weeks ago, and the guy in the sheet next to me had his helmet on, but he didn't have a strap done up. Clearly, he was an old hockey player. If you don't have that strap done up, as soon as you start to go backwards, that helmet's going to go off, and it was no protection to you whatsoever. The other one is the two Lusa-Chin strap. And again, when you go down, it may stay on, but your head's bouncing around inside this, and that's not going to be helpful to you either. So chin strap done up, chin strap done nice and tight around the chin. Now there are other kinds of helmets or other kinds of head protection. They all basically have some kind of block at the back. Now this particular one is a bandana type. You would put it on. The downside of these ones has always been that there's been a tendency for them to slide off as you're going down. But again, you can see that there's a shock absorbing portion here in the back. Here's the baseball cap version of it. Again, you can see the shock absorbing in the back, and you can just see this thing flying off your head as you're going down backwards. Here's the winter adjusted. Again, you can see pad there. This one actually comes with a strap, which is kind of cool. Again, dealing with the issue that these types of head protection have a tendency to come flying off as you're going down. This one actually comes with a strap, which I think is a nice feature. The other thing is, if you go down with one of these, you're going to shatter what's in here. These ones, most of them actually have a zipper, and you can replace that if you shattered it when going down in the fall. Head protection, extremely important. So the last topic in equipment is sticks. Now, obviously the delivery stick is absolutely crucial component when you're dealing with stick curling. There are a number of different types of sticks out there, and sticks are one of those things where the right stick is the stick that works for you. And what my preference may be is not what your preference may be. So it's one of those areas where you kind of sometimes have to play around and find the tool that works best for you, to master this sport. Now I'll go through some of the pros and cons of the various types of sticks that are out there and talk a little bit sort of where the evolution of it's going and those types of things. This is your basic stick curling delivery stick. This is a Goldline Excalibur. It has a head that looks like this. The end, if you think about a curling rock, the end of the handle is at the back. So your contact point is here for your delivery. About 85% of all curling sticks being sold these days are this model. So this is kind of the industry standard. Now, this is not an adjustable stick. This stick comes in one length, so whether you're 5'4" or 6'4" or 7'4", this is the stick. The head, you'll see a number of people will, to reduce the weight of this head, change these nuts out and put in self-tightening nuts. Not all curling rocks have perfect handles. And in fact, I was just at a tournament where on sheet 4, the red rocks, there were 2 of them that were larger than the other handles. So oftentimes what you will see as curlers who use this, they'll shave maybe about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch off of the top here, and maybe 1/8 of an inch off there and 1/8 of an inch off there, just to prevent that kind of jamming when the rock is released if you have a slightly bigger handle. That's essentially the industry norm there. Slightly heavier than my preference. Here's a variation on it. So you can see it's the same concept in that the handle, the back of the handle, is a contact pressure point. Now this particular kind of stick is designed so it slides over just the top of the handle, and that prevents that sticking issue to a great degree that you would otherwise run into with the standard stick. This one, I believe, is an adjustable version as well, so you can tailor that to your particular height. It's always interesting. You can tell the old hockey players. The old hockey players will have a stick that's up here at their chin. More traditional curlers, or people new to stick curler, will tend to have a height that's more mid-chest or high chest. So again, it's one of those preference things where people end up with an adjustable stick. This is probably the second most common. This is the Sure Shot. So you can see it's a total different design here. You have sort of a roll version, and again, this is an adjustable stick, so you can make it as long or as short as you like. If you think about the contact point on this one is the front of the handle. So your contact is up here at the front, not back here where it is with the Excalibur. Now, my wife really loved this kind of stick. I couldn't particularly use it. I found it was just too wiggly for me, and I couldn't get the right pressure points. But again, that is one of those absolute personal preference things. Some people absolutely love the stick. Some people find it difficult to use. So again, use the club sticks. Figure out which works for you, what's best for you. Again, this is an adjustable stick. Typically, when you see an adjustable stick, you're also going to see duct tape. So once somebody figures out the height they want this at, so for me, I would want that one just a little longer. So probably about there would work for me. The reason you tend to see duct tape is the internal workings on these aren't always as stiff as you'd like them to be. And invariably, someone has had one of these things release on them in the middle of an important shot in an important game. So then you'll see them duct tape them so that problem disappears. Again, you'll see variations. Here's the variation of the gold line head. This is also an adjustable stick. And this has a different end. This has a big foamy end. This one's nice in that your hand doesn't get warm. The problem is it's a pretty heavy stick, so your tendency is always going to be down on the rock, and your first movement is going to be down as opposed to slide out. Also, it has this protruding end, and it's very difficult to get the good handshake position with this mass in front of it. Again, some people like that for the warmth and the adjustability. Some people have a problem, of course, with the end on it. Here's the new technology. This is what they call a techno stick. These are relatively new into the market. They only really 2 or 3 years they've been around. These have an articulating head. So when you release the rock, this head actually goes with it. So you tend to get a very smooth release. If you think about the pressure points, this takes, the pressure point is at the front. So this has 2 bars. You have a pressure point at the front, but you also have a stabilizing bar here on the back. Because it's open, you tend not to get sticking issues. And because the head articulates, you tend to get a smooth release, which is good for making sure you get a good handle on your shot. The other advantage of this particular stick is this head is ultralight. Basically, it's about as light a head as you can possibly get. And from my perspective, I like to think of the delivery stick as just being an extension of my hand. So the lighter it is, the more natural that should feel to me, the better off, the better I'm going to like. So what I actually did was I took the head from the techno stick and threw it on a carbon fiber handle of a broom and created my own version, the lightest possible delivery stick I can find. Now again, this works for me, may not be what somebody else would prefer or like. So again, you have to go and figure out what it is that works for you. We also have these combination broom and sticks. Now this particular one is the most common of those, where you've got the basic gold line head with the pressure point on the back. You also have the broom head on top of it. This is a relatively heavy stick. These tend to be favored by two groups. These are really good if you're playing in a traditional 4-person game, because your broom and your stick, delivery stick, are one object, and you can carry it with you back and forth. If you have one of these sticks and a broom, you're always trying to get your third to bring your delivery stick down to the other end before the end finishes. So these are convenient if you're in traditional 4-person play. The problem again is, the downside is, they are heavy. So unless you're a big, kind of strong brute, this thing is weighing you down. Now, the 2-time Canadian champion uses exactly this stick, so obviously you can manage them and you can get accuracy with them, but they're going to be favored more by big, strong guys as opposed to someone like myself who wants a more delicate instrument to play the game. There's one more variation on this, which is one where this broom head is actually on this end of the stick. So you have the head here, you have the broom here. So when you go to deliver, essentially you've got this sticking in your chest. This one, this type of stick where the head would be there and the broom would be here, very difficult to get accuracy with these. As you can think about it, trying to grip a handle when there's a broom head here, it becomes very difficult. Also, what you tend to get is this is crawling up the arm. So if you're doing an in turn, not so bad. But as soon as you try to do an out turn, this broom head's going to tend to push your shot out. So again, some people prefer that type of stick. Very difficult to get the necessary degree of accuracy. So there is a cross section of different stick types. There's different weights. There's different contact points, whether it's the front or the back of the handle. Really what it comes down to is what feels right for you. What is it that's going to allow you to get the accuracy and the precision that you need as you progress up through the ranks in this game.
In our stick curling clinic this morning, we're going to show you some concepts that we believe will help you in your game. In traditional curling, you slide out of the hack. Prior to the hog line, you release the rock. Seems simple enough. However, there's a number of things involved in that. In the setup, you're putting a particular handle on the rock depending on the rotation that you want to throw. You're sliding at a speed that is required to make the shot, and you have the extension of the arm. So you have speed and extension of the arm as part of the weight of the shot. The other thing that's happening is that at release, you're trying to ensure that you have no inward or outward motion to the rock. In order to get that pure release that we are looking for in the stick curling world, it's important that we have the proper hand alignment. We start off with the hand at the handshake position, and from here, it's a straight extension, straight out from the body extension. In order to get rotation on the rock, if we want to rotate on a clockwise direction, we would start off at 11 o'clock with our head of the stick on the stone, or we would start off at 1 o'clock for a counterclockwise rotation and finish at 12 in both situations when we extend. So 11 o'clock, extend to 12, 1 o'clock, extend to 12. So our setup would be 12 o'clock, handshake position, 11, travel, and at the end of that travel, extension to 12, and keep on traveling. So we start off with a handshake position. That is a good alignment to think about as a way to hold the broom and how to keep your hand in a line. Now take that hand and extend straight out. Back, handshake position, straight out. That's the basic motion that we're going to use when we deliver the stone. On the delivery, it's that extension, hand, shake position, straight out. Now, let's put the stick in that hand. So now we have a nice relaxed elbow. We're going to go at the handshake position, go to 1 o'clock, take a couple of steps forward and go to 12 on the extension, and keep on walking. Thank you. Now let's do that again for 11 o'clock. So handshake position, go to 11, nice relaxed elbow, keep your hands in line, and take a couple of steps forward, release, and keep walking. We have the hand in the stick, the hand in the handshake position holding the stick, and the stick should be at 12 o'clock. Now, rotate the stick to 11. Feel that tension in your arm? And now go back to 12. Relaxed again. Go to 1. Now go back to 12. So you feel that when you turn to 1 or 12, or 1 or 11, you feel that tension in your arm. And when you come back to 12, it's relaxed. That's a muscle memory that you use. So when you're delivering, you don't have to look down at the stone. You don't have to look down at your stick head. You know you're back at 12 when your hand feels when you feel that relaxed feeling in your arm. That's an important muscle memory, and that's going to help with your delivery. Now, from that position, put the stick at 11 o'clock, and now reach out and 12, and turn to 12 at the end of your extension. Just standing still. So go to 11, and then reach out to 12 at the end of your extension. Now go to 1. 1, and then reach out to 12. And try to hold that angle of 1 or 11 right to the very end of your extension and go to 12. There you have it. So that is what we're going to be trying to do. That's the first drill we're having out on the ice today. It's release. So in our clinic, we start with teaching release, release, release. Make sure that you have a feel for that before we take you into the full delivery of the rock down the ice. So the next part of the drill is that we are actually going to take a couple of steps, do that extension and release, and then take a couple more steps after that. So handshake position, 12 o'clock, go to 11. Take a couple of steps ahead and go to 12 and keep on walking toward. There you go. Thank you. Go back and repeat that for 1 o'clock. Handshake position, 12 o'clock, go to 1. Take a couple of steps forward, really extend and go to 12. The purpose of this drill is to demonstrate the release. We want to make sure that we have no inward or outward motion. To do that, we start off with the handshake position. The handshake, hold the stick. Now we want to make sure that any motion we have is straight out from our hand. So if we were going to do that, that would be the motion that we're looking for, is the straight out. So to do that demonstration, in order to put rotation on the rock, we would start off in the handshake, 12 o'clock position, twist the rock to the 11 o'clock position. Our hand is still in alignment, and then we would release the rock by extending the hand and returning to the 12 o'clock position. So in the release, we start with the hand in the handshake position, hold on to the stick. This is the grip that you want to maintain throughout the delivery. You want to then move the rock to the 11 o'clock position, elbow still relaxed, and then you extend straight out from your hand, or hand straight out from the body, 12 o'clock position for the release. So we start off in the handshake position, rotate to 11, and as you noticed, he changed his hand position. Now when he's going to release the rock, he's going to be, just release please. His hand now is not in the handshake position. He's got his arms twisted. That's going to throw the rock off. That's going to you're going to be pushing an inward or an outward motion on the rock with that. So you're very, very critical. Do not change your hand. 11 o'clock, maintain the grip. Now release. And the hand is back to that handshake position. Nice relaxed arm and so forth. So that's one of the key things that we want to make sure we focus in on. So we're in the handshake position. Now we go to 11. But in this case now, we've seen that we've got the elbow extended. And with that, it's going to be very difficult to throw the rock, please, and get the extension that we're looking for on it. You have to make sure that that elbow stays relaxed and is part of the total extension of the rock. So let's try that again. That's it. Keep your elbow in, hand straight out. Now release to 12. So we want to handshake position, 11 o'clock, and extend. In this case, there was no rotation. The hand did not rotate the rock from 11 to 12 o'clock. So let's see that again. Make sure you rotate from 11 till 12 o'clock. Good. Okay. Handshake position, go to 11 o'clock. And extension and positive release. Handshake position, go to 11 and extend. So in this case, on your positive release, you've got to be more positive on that rotation. So as you go from 11 to 12, make sure it's a nice positive release as you go from 11 to 12. Handshake, 11, nice positive release. Good. What we've done with the first drill is just work on release. To make sure that we have a nice pure release on it when we let the rock go. No inward or outward motion. Now we're going to introduce the next step, and that is making pace part of it. So we're going to be walking out the center line is going to, or the side line is going to be the hog line, and we're going to take a couple of steps forward, hold that, hold that, hold it at 11, release to 12, and follow behind the rock. Two things to look for are during your pace, during your travel, make sure you hold that rock, hold your position, hold that 11 o'clock position. Make sure your hand alignment stays. Nice handshake position at 11 o'clock. Now pace and release at our hog line, which is the sideline. So remember, handshake, hold the 11 o'clock position until you get to the hog line, and then nice positive extension as you go to 12. So you start off, we're in 11 o'clock, we're in handshake position at 11 o'clock, or we do our travel and rotation. What happened on that last delivery is that we did not hold the 11 o'clock position. We came to 12 early, and when we had to release at the end, we didn't get a good rotation on it, and we also probably pushed it in one direction or another, so it wasn't that pure release. So we have to get so that you release at the 12 o'clock position. So let's do that again. So handshake position, 11 o'clock for your rotation, and travel and release, hold 11, nice 12. That's what we're looking for, is a pure release at 12. So we start off at the handshake position, we go to 11, and then we travel. And in that case, you saw that it was not a smooth release. There was a jab at that jab release. A couple of things happened. One, rotation did not happen, and it was probably off course. So let's make it nice and smooth. Okay, so we start off in the handshake position, go to 11, travel, nice pace, nice smooth extension to 12. Okay, we've got the handshake position. We're going to go to 11 o'clock and travel. So in that situation, we saw over rotation, and it was not a smooth release. Handshake position, go to 11 o'clock, travel, nice positive release to 12. There we go. So in the drill, we're looking for a good positive release, and to make sure that you keep traveling after you're released. Don't stop, just keep following through. So let's go. Handshake, 11 o'clock, travel, keep traveling. So make sure you hold that 11 o'clock position. A couple of you went to 12 a little early. Okay, handshake, 11 o'clock and travel. Better. Good.
Okay, so as Milt mentioned earlier, the setup in the hack is extremely important. This should be just second nature. As in golf, every golfer has a routine they go through before they make a shot. Same thing happens in stick curling. There is a routine that you go through. When you come into the hack, your foot should be solidly in the hack. It shouldn't be down here on the ice, because your first push off here is not on a solid surface. It should not be back here. If your foot is set up back here, what's going to happen is your first motion is going to be backwards, and you're losing contact with the handle on your stick. Your foot should be solidly in the hack, so when you make your first step out, this is where the force is coming from. Pace isn't about shooting with your arm. The speed of your delivery, whether it's a draw or whether it's a takeout, is set on that first step out of this hack. So therefore you want to have solid contact when you're coming out of that hack. The stone should be placed in front of the hack at a noon position. You put your stick on that handle, give it 2 taps, and move it. Now in this case, we're doing from the 11 o'clock position. Similarly, if I was doing an out turn, I would tap, tap, step in, and have it at the 1 o'clock position. So you set it up however is appropriate for the turn that you're trying to establish. So, onto the handle, tap, tap, move it. Now, that rock will always start in further than where you want to end up in your positioning in this hack. I want my arm comfortably at this side. So center mass, probably 1 or 2 inches off of your belly button. And you can see my hand, when I first started out, my hand was in the handshake position. I rotated it. Now, I am going to maintain that hand position all the way through until I'm done delivering. This does not change. So what I can do now is I come out, I square myself up. So at this point, if you look at my foot isn't lined up with the target. My foot is lined up to the right of that target. So as soon as I walk out, I'm going to be off, and this shot's not going to work. So, 2 things have to happen. That foot has to be aligned exactly with that target. This rock has to be aligned exactly with that target. And you can see I'm just barely touching the center line here. That stick is in line with the foot, the target, and that rock. So now I'm squared up. My body should not be back like this. If my body's back like this, the first movement, and look at what's happening to that stick and that handle. Body should be slightly forward, comfortable, elbow relaxed. So now my first motion forward is going to be a positive motion right at that target. What I'm not doing is looking at the rock. If I'm looking at the rock, I'm going to walk out, and everyone has a tendency to go either right or left. So as soon as I walk out, if I'm looking at that rock, I'm going to drift right or left. And as soon as I drift left, then I'm going to overcorrect to the right, and then I'm going to try and correct again to the right. It's what we call the S-curve. So at this point, I'm looking directly at that broom at the target, and I'm going to walk out, looking at that target, looking at that target, looking at that target, and release, and keep walking. And follow that. Now, you don't have to stop at the hog line. And it's not like at a wall. It's not going to bang you. Keep walking. You're allowed to go down almost to the center. So you have to release the rock before the hog line. Yes, indeed. Okay? So that's how you set yourself up in the house. Now, the types of errors that we see we'll see people set up here. Now, what's going to happen with your first step? You're either slipping on this ice or you're slipping on this ice. You're not going to have good traction. You'll see people set the rock up. The rock does not have to touch that center line. The rock can be here, the rock can be there. If I was shooting, trying to do a draw to the center, I would probably set up the 8 to 12. So my foot, my stick, my rock would be positioned a couple of inches off of that center line because that's where I'm now shooting to. it's about getting that proper alignment coming out of the hack. Looking at the stone, as soon as I look at that stone, look what happened. I'm drifting, whoops, gotta come back, I'm drifting. That's an S-curve. Look at the broom, okay? Focus on the broom. Once you get this down, then it's all about the pace. And the pace comes from the legs. Pace doesn't come from the arms, pace comes from the legs. 2 paces. If I'm doing a draw, I'll have a slower pace than if I'm doing a takeout. But I have 2 paces. Okay, any questions on that? The other problem we see, and I want you to watch my stick just before I release. So another problem we see, everything sets up fine here. And then just before somebody goes to release, they'll do this cocking motion. You see what happens? As soon as you hesitate, you lose contact with the handle. And what 2 things are going to happen, either you're going to overcompensate, over-rotate and push it out, and it's going to be too heavy, or when you go to try and release it, you've lost all your power because you've lost your contact with the handle. Common problem we see starting out is that people will want to have their stick out here, especially for those of us who have a little bit of belly. You'll tend to find, so instead of here, you'll find it out here. So the problem is, as soon as this arm is out, and you watch as I come down, I come down, and I'm naturally going to push that stone out because the arm is already cocked here, so it's going to be very difficult to correct to keep that on line. Okay, so that's a chicken wing. When the arm comes out like this, and again, it's going to be very difficult two things are going to happen. 1, you're going to over-rotate it, and 2, you're probably going to push it out, right? So again, just to demonstrate proper technique coming out of the setting up and coming out. Rock at noon, in close, tap, tap, move it to either 11 or 1. Position this. Now you'll see me adjusting. Center mass, about 2 inches off the side, arm comfortable. I have the target, I've squared up, body slightly forward. Now I'm ready to walk, and at the target, at the target, at the target, at the target, release, and keep walking. That's proper technique.
For this next demonstration, we're going to take advantage of the center line. This is a drill that is designed to provide you with feedback on how well you're throwing the rock. And it works like this. At the far end, there's a cone set up. That is your target. So if that is your target that you're throwing at, your stone should just be touching the center line. So as you progress out in your pace and walk, the stone should be touching the center line. If it moves to the left or right of the center line, then you're doing something incorrect with your delivery, but you'll have feedback on it. You're going to get your own self-feedback saying, that's not quite right. So what you're going to find out, first of all, is we're going to start off with the setup. And the setup, put the rock in front of you at the 12 o'clock position. Put your head of the stick on the rock. Handshake position. Move out to 11 o'clock. hand, head, rock alignment. This is something, just take a second to get a feel for, because this you want to develop a natural feel for this hand, head of the stick, and align to the target down below. Now you're ready to travel, in which case you will walk down the ice, hold that 11 o'clock, hold that 11 o'clock. At the hog line, release to 12. A routine is very important. So your setup is a routine that you do every time. You do the setup routine before you travel, before you move, make any motion. So we've gone the setup, we've gone to 11 o'clock. We've got our hand and stick in alignment. We're now ready to travel. Okay, can we have our first participant? Remember the setup? Keep walking. So you have to maintain that pace right through your delivery. Nice and smooth. Set up. Nice extend. Nice job. Didn't quite get to 12 o'clock.
Nice, 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 nice. And keep walking. Nicely done. Nicely done. Now, if you notice on that one, as Mark was walking, he kept drifting to the right. And by the time Mark released, his rock was actually over here. So that's a matter of, again, everyone has a tendency to drift one way or the other. Keep your eyes focused on that target, and it keeps you from drifting. Okay?
Didn't want you to step back. Oops, on my rock.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Okay, so look at Liz's body position. Liz is back. Her shoulders are back. So as soon as her first movement, this is what's gonna happen. And now she'll be fighting that rock. She'll automatically look down at that rock, and then she'll start drifting off.
So where do I need to be?
So the rock needs to come ahead, just an inch or so.
Okay, yeah,
Inch or so further ahead.
okay.
Okay? Bring your shoulders forward. Square up, bring your shoulders forward. So now your first motion is going to be out.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So let's do it. Here we come. Here we go.
Wait, I'm
Okay. At this point, reset. If you're in the hack and it's not feeling comfortable, always step out and reset.
I'm good. I feel good.
She's at 11 o'clock, but her hand's at 12. Your hand needs to be there where you're at.
Okay, so again, come back. You start at the noon position. Okay,
Noon, here,
okay.
tap, tap.
Tap, tap.
Turn
Okay,
your right
and then hold that position with your hand. Okay, again, your back, push that rock forward just a touch. There you go. All right, so shoulders slightly forward. All right, now let's walk out. Let's do it. Here we go, 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 and release. Now, twice on the way out, you changed your pace, and twice your handle slid back, or your stick slid back off your handle. You can't change your pace. Once you come out of that hack, that pace has to be established, and you have to maintain it. If you slow down, the rock keeps going, you lose contact.
So you can increase it.
You can increase it, but you can't decrease it. But you can't start out too slow either. So you have to come out with a nice, solid pace, okay? And that's something that, especially early on, people that are just learning the sport, they get up to that point and they go, oh, I got to release, oh, I got to release. And they start thinking about release, and they stop forgetting about maintaining their pace. And then you get that sliding off the handle motion, okay? Looks good, looks good, looks good. Nice. Keep going, keep going. That's a beautiful shot. Now, in this particular case, and within the hack, set the rock up and tore down the ice. Give me a sec. This is a process about preparing yourself. This should not be a single motion. There should be a pause. Now, as you can see here, I've got a problem. My stick is too far out. So, stop, adjust it. You can see here, I got a problem. If you can see space in here, I got a problem. Stop, reset. Check your alignment. Is the rock, the stick, and my foot in line? Take a breath, square the shoulders, now you go. That's the proper speed, that's the proper technique. What you don't do is this, and we'll see a lot of new stick curlers do this. This isn't teenage dating. Take your time, enjoy the experience, okay? That's good, that's good. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. So now if we look at that particular delivery, the last time there was a problem with pace and change of pace. That was not here, so that was eliminated. So that was a very good correction. Unfortunately, on this one, when instead of a positive release like this, the shoulder got dropped and you end up with a jab like this. And as soon as you drop the shoulder, you're going to get that kind of motion. So instead it should be this nice, smooth release. Okay? Yep. Well done. Just have some fun here. Make a nice
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Nice. There we go. Nice up the line. Well done. Well done. Oh, look at that. Beautiful pace. Delivery right straight down the line. That's exactly how it should be done. Nice. So the last time your stone was over here, so you weren't in line, and you also didn't square up to check it. You just took off, So this time you can see your foot, the stick, and that rock are perfectly in line with that target. Now, take a breath, square up, and let's walk down and make that shot. Here we go. Nice, nice, holding the line nicely, and release, and keep coming. Look at that. Well done. Well done. Okay, body's still back too far. Push it out. Push the rock out another couple inches. All right, bring your body forward. Here we go. All right. Doesn't have to be natural, just has to be right. Okay. Look at that, track that line. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well done. Look at your foot. Your foot's over there. Target's down there. Okay. Stone looks good. Away we go. Away we go. Away we go. Nice. Tracking the line nicely. Okay, so Donelda, I want you to change turns. So now we'll set up at 1. Okay, now notice, in turn, out turn. Nothing changes in the setup and the hack except where you put the handle. You still start the same way, your foot's still in the hack the same way, you're still lining up the stick, the foot, the stone. All you're doing is changing the handle. So now we'll walk out, and release, and keep walking. Beautiful, beautiful. Exactly how it should be. For today's drills, we've been using the center line as a guide so you can get immediate feedback in terms of how you're doing, whether you're walking the line in a direct line, whether you're releasing properly. And that's really good feedback, especially if you're practicing by yourself. However, the majority of shots are not going to be straight down the center of the ice surface. There's going to be draws to the button where the broom will be set up out on the far wings, here or here. You may be drawing over to here. The same concepts apply that we used in the drills here. You're going to position your body in a straight line to wherever the broom is. Now, the rock will move, so instead of being here, for instance, when we were shooting down the center, the rock might be over here, 2 inches further over. Your foot now will be placed directly in line with that target. Your body is going to be squared up. Now notice the foot, the rock, the stick are all in direct alignment with that broom. When I walk out, I'm not going to walk up that center line. I'm going to walk a straight line directly at that broom, and I'm going to release, and I'm going to keep walking. It's the same concept. You're going to walk in a straight line, it's just the broom is not going to be here, the broom's going to be over there. Okay, any questions on that? Do we want to try a shot to the wings? Okay, so let's stop. That rock has to be a little further out because again, if we line up, okay, we're not in a straight line. Your foot, that stone, and that stick all have to be aligned right over there. Okay? So now, body forward. Okay, body forward. All right, now let's go. Straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line. Now, did everyone see how she drifted in? She didn't maintain the straight line out. she automatically, because we've been practicing all morning going up the center line, she wanted to go up that center line. You have to walk directly at the target and stay directly at the target. Okay? Okay. Okay. And away we go. Away we go. Away we go. And release. Nice. See the difference in those two? Okay. Nice, nice. Now there was a very good example of, she focused on where the broom was, absolute straight line at that broom. So when she released, she was far enough out to get the right turn in. Okay? Okay, so now in this particular example, we're going to do an out turn counterclockwise. The broom is set up at the edge of the 8 and the 12 foot. So Mark's foot should be pointed directly at that broom. That you'll see in this case, the rock is just slightly over the line and he's got nice alignment. So now straight walk out and then release. Straight at the broom. Straight at the broom, straight at the broom, straight at the broom, and release. Nice, nicely done. The point being that the concepts are the same. Doesn't matter where the broom is, it's a direct line to the broom. So now I'd like to talk about the two-person stick curling game. A natural evolution for people that are playing traditional curling using a delivery stick is to eventually find their way to the two-person stick curling game. Now, I love this game. This game, it's fun, it's aggressive, it's quick, and you're always involved. It only takes about an hour to play. But it's a game of skill and precision, and it's a game of communication. It's adaptable to all levels of competitiveness, of skills level. So you'll have anywhere from an intro recreational game right up to national championship level of competitiveness and everything in between. So again, the sport lends itself to a version of the game regardless of what level of skill and competitiveness you bring to it. And again, I just love this game. I love playing it. I love everything about it. So some basics around this game. You have two-person teams. Now, one player on the team will stay at the near end. One player on the team will move to the far end. The player at the far end is going to be a skip for ends 1, 3, and 5. The player at the far end is going to be the shooter for ends 2, 4, and 6. The player at the near end, so this would be the end by the glass, they're going to be the skip for ends 2, 4, and 6, and they're going to be the shooter for ends 1, 3, and 5. So you can see you're always involved. On any given end, you're either the shooter, shooting the 6 rocks, or you're the skip, calling the game. So there's no downtime. You're in the game all the time, always involved. Now this is a game that's only 6 ends, so it tends to take about an hour to play. You have to get into it, and you have to get into it early. You need to get a feel for that ice early. And the fact that you're making 6 shots allows for that to happen. You can't give up a big end in stick curling because it's very hard to come back. There aren't a whole lot of ends to come back. So it's one of those games where you have to get into it, you have to get into it early, and you have to show up ready to play. Now, as I mentioned, it's a 6-end game, and each player that's shooting is going to deliver 6 rocks an end. So it's not like traditional curling where you shoot 2, the next player shoots 2, the next player shoots 2, and the skip comes down and shoots 2. There's only 6 rocks, and you, as a delivering player, are going to shoot all 6 of those rocks. Now, you'll alternate those shots with your opponent. So you'll shoot, the opponent will shoot, you'll shoot, the opponent will shoot, you'll shoot, the opponent will shoot, and so on. What this does, of course, because you're shooting 6 rocks in sequence, is it gives you a really good opportunity to get the feel for the ice and to adjust to the ice conditions and to adjust to whatever's going on. The flip side of that, however, is there's no hiding behind other players. It's you. It's your end. And you have to play that end. Now, sweeping, there's some nuances around sweeping in the 2-person stick curling game as well. Specifically, there's no sweeping between the hog lines. Now, in traditional curling, you can take a shot, and if it's a little off, you can have your sweepers there, and they can bang away on that rock and try and hold it the whole way down the ice. There's none of that in 2-person stick curling. When you release it, no one's going to touch that rock with a broom until it's to the far hog line, because there's no sweeping between the hog lines. Now, once it gets to the far hog line, your skip can come out and sweep it, but only from the hog line in. The opponent can only sweep from the tee line and the far house back. Now, there's only so much that your skip can do. They're not going to touch the rock until it gets to the far hog line. So realistically, there's a minimal amount of impact that they can have. But when you get to the higher levels, the championship levels, there's some pretty good sweepers there, and they can have some impact, and a little impact in one shot in one game can make a difference. The other nuance of that, however, is if you think about it, the skip is now sweeping. Traditionally, the skip would be calling the line to the other sweepers, but now the skip is sweeping. They're not watching the line. So that becomes the delivering player's job. So when you make your shot, you don't just turn around and go back to the hack. You follow that shot, and you can come down right to the center line, and you are watching that shot, and you are calling line for the skip, who is now going to sweep that rock. So as a delivering player, you stay with that, okay? You stay with that shot right to the very end. And you have to communicate with your skip as well, because they're not focused on the line at this point, they're focused on the sweeping. What I love about this is that you're involved in each shot right to the end. But I also like the fact that skips have to sweep. In traditional curling, there's times you'd really like to see a skip sweeping. But in this game, that's normal. The skips have to come out to sweep. Now, some other nuances about the game in terms of the rocks and the rock removal. In stick curling, the first 3 rocks cannot be removed from play, regardless of whether they're in the house or outside the house. Now again, think about that. The first 3 rocks cannot be removed from play, whether they're in the house or not in the house. So they can only be taken out starting with the 4th rock. So basically, the second stone that's going to be thrown by the team with hammer is the first stone that can take another stone out. Now, if a stone is removed before that 4th shot, the stone that was removed would be brought back to where it was originally. The stone that took it out, the deliver stone that took it out, would be removed, and the next player would shoot. Now, this is really awesome because what it leads to is a whole new level of aggression. In traditional curling, they put up the corner guards or the center line guards, and then they put shots in behind later on. In stick curling, because they can't remove those first 3 stones, you're going in and trying to get control of the button and the top of the house. So early aggression, early attempts at control, and typically what would happen is the team that doesn't have hammer is either going to put one on the button or on top of the button, and then they're going to try and guard it, and the other team is going to then probably put one out to the wings or bring one up on top of the stone that's on the button. But it creates a whole new level of strategy, a whole new level of aggression to this game. Love it. Some basic things. If you're the delivering person, be in the hack and be ready to go. So when it's your turn to shoot, don't be diddling around down there. Get in the hack, get ready to go. See what the call is by the skip. Be sure you understand that call. Think about the proper weight that shot is going to require. Deliver the stone, stay with that shot, call the line, and communicate with your skip after delivery. If you're the skip, and everyone gets to be a skip, and again, that's one of the fun parts of this game is everybody gets to be a skip. And what you find out is it's not as hard as the skips would make you believe that it is. You call the game, you call the ice, and more importantly, you take the opportunity to learn from each and every shot. So from each and every shot, you can learn something about the ice, you can learn something about the curl, you can see how your partner's doing, you can see how your opponents are doing, what they're up to, what their strengths, what their weaknesses are. You can see if the ice is changing, and the ice will change during a game, and you can see and adjust for that. Now, if you think about where I curl out of, my club normally, for draw weight, it's probably you're going to get a 4-foot curl, and we have relatively fast ice, so probably about 13.5 seconds. If you're doing a backline takeout, you're probably going to get about 2 feet of curl, and it's probably 11.5 to 12 seconds time. A takeout, probably going to get about 1 foot of curl, and probably 9.5 to 10 seconds would be the desired weight for that. Now, that's assuming our normal ice maker is around. When our normal ice maker isn't around, those numbers are going to change quite dramatically. And you have to adapt to whatever the ice conditions are. You have to adapt if the ice is changing. And as a skip, this is knowledge you're trying to pick up and pick up early in the game. Also, as a skip, you want to play to your partner's strengths and your opponent's weaknesses. And in traditional curling, the skip is setting up the last shot in the end to be the shot that they want to make. In stick curling, the skip's not making that last shot. It's the delivering person up at the other end that's making that shot. So in stick curling, the skip is setting up the end to make sure that the partner has a last shot that they're comfortable with, a last shot that they can make. Another thing that the skips are responsible for is rock safety. There are moving rocks in curling. And in stick curling, there aren't as many players on the ice to catch and control rocks. So if a takeout's coming down there are only two people at that end where the rocks are going to be moving. And it's up to the two skips that are there to control those moving rocks and to prevent accidents from happening. So they have to communicate with each other. So one says, look, I'll take the blue rock, you take the red rock. Or one will say, watch out for that stone over there. But you have to communicate with the other skip. And I've seen a situation where one skip was just sort of in la-la land. A shot came down, a rock went flying over to the other sheet, took out somebody at their ankle and broke their ankle. You have to be in the game. And for safety purposes, the skips have to communicate, especially when there's takeouts. So as you can see, you're always involved. Whether you're the delivering person or whether you're the skip, you're always involved in this game. And that's just one of the reasons why I really love this game, and I'm sure that you will as well.
Now we want to demonstrate for you some of the initial strategies that we would use to start a stick curling game. This is a typical house, and we're curling from this end. I have lost the hammer. I'm now going to throw first. So my first rock that I would throw, I'm yellow rocks. My broom is probably about here. I'm going down, go on the center line, down to the broom, and I'm going to stop there. And I'm trying to protect the button because I know my opponent cannot take a rock out until the fourth.
So I'm shooting next. I am red rocks and I have the hammer. My objective is to attempt to score 2 points in this end. So I am going to have my skip set up their broom somewhere along the center line, and I want my rock to end up probably somewhere here close to the 12 foot ahead of the tee line in an attempt to spread out my rocks and eventually score 2 points.
So knowing that he's trying to get 2 points and knowing that he cannot remove this rock until the fourth, which is his next shot, I need to protect that rock on the button. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to put a guard to protect my rock.
At this point, I can take out stones if I wish. It's interesting, her rock here is relatively high, the button's still open. So I do have an option of trying to draw down and in behind, or I have an option of trying to clear this out, and in a perfect world, I would hit this stone, which would hit this stone, they would spill there, that one would spill there, and I would be sitting too. The world is not always a perfect world, and let's assume on my first shot, I hit this one, come a little to the side, and this one's out of play.
So knowing that his rock is there, I still need to either protect this by doing this or get on the button before he does. So with my rock, I'm going to come down and I'm going to position it on the button.
Now I'm in trouble. Now I'm scrambling. Probably my best option at this stage, well, I have two options. Again, I can come down and try and do a double takeout. So move that one out. Or the alternative is I can use a backline weight draw and try and get in here and bump this one out. If I use this strategy, I'm probably trying to just score 1 in the end. If I'm still thinking I'm trying to score 2 in the end, then I'm going after this, trying to clean up this. The choice I make will be a function of how much curl there is in the ice, how comfortable I am with my draws at this point. Is there any runs along the center line here? What, how are my takeouts going that day? So I'll use all of that sort of knowledge and that's there to make a shot selection. Probably I'm going to try and take this out and stay there and scatter that one or that one.
Okay. So what I would do then is still again come down and draw to the button to protect the button.
Again, I'm in trouble. Obviously, she has her draw weight today. She's made 4 perfect draws in a row. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow. I can try that again. It would be a function of how close it is, how good I'm feeling. I'm probably at this point, since I'm down to 3 rocks, I'm probably going to try and get something into here. So at least I have something to play with later on in the game if I need it. So.
Very good. So as you can see, the situation changes from shot to shot. So it's very difficult to say this is the strategy you should use. So it's based on all the factors that we discussed, and as far as the ice, the weight, what is your preference for shot, whether you're good at draws or whether you're good at takeouts. We're not going to finish the rest of this game. This was just to give you a demonstration of how important the first 3 shots that you do on an ice surface to protect the button. And I hope that gave you some food for thought. But as again, when I talk about strategy, it's very difficult to give a definite strategy because it really does depend on the outcome of the shots that are produced. This is version 2 because what we showed you before was pretty perfect. But what if it isn't? What if this happens? What if my skip is calling me to put it there, but let's say I'm light and it goes there?
Well, at this point, I have a choice. I can still try and come out to the wings, but I have the option also now of coming into the center and trying to control the center. Probably in this case, I'm going to try to come here, at which point then Betty's response is going to be.
And remember, I can't take anything out because this is a 3rd rock. So what I will try to do is come around and go here and try to hit and knock this one back.
At this point, now that I can hit, the game opens up and I have options. I have hitting options, I have drawing options, and I will make my decision at that point and the game is on.
So you can see how strategy can vary from shot to shot. And it really truly depends on the outcome that you produce from a shot. So I hope that you will enjoy the stick curling game. It's a lot of fun and it takes a lot of thought and information to play the game.
I hope that you get the opportunity to attend an in-person stick curling clinic in the future. There's nothing like the real thing. However, I hope that this video has provided you with information and techniques and things that you can use in your own game to improve it in the future. We hope that you've enjoyed the video as much as we've enjoyed creating it for you. Thank you.